Hi, my name is Mazarine Trays, and I'm the author of The Wild Woman's Guide to Fundraising and the upcoming book, Healing from the Nonprofit Sector. Today, we're going to talk about shutting the door. I am inspired and will be quoting from Sarah Ahmed and her work. And if you haven't checked out her website yet, Feminist Killjoy, it's a good one. Look it up. This is also going to be part of my book, Healing from the Nonprofit Sector, coming out soon. So, I'm going to give you some backstory here. In the last 2 years, I've shut my door to working directly with the nonprofit sector more and more. Why? Because if we're not paying our people enough to save, eat, and have rent, and save for retirement, and give them the best benefits possible, then we are not helping. I don't feel powerless, but I do feel tired. So because I've been an employee advocate for over 15 years, and I've done 15 online conferences to try to get nonprofits to treat their workers better, and I don't really see that happening, I feel like a lot of my advocacy went into a black hole. I was talking with people at these conferences, like the thousands of them that already agreed with me. And while that was nice, I didn't have the political or organizing education to make a dent in how people got treated otherwise. I mean, sure, in 2021, I got experts to come and talk about better pay structures, forming more democratic structures inside nonprofits, and forming unions inside nonprofits. This presentation helps some people see a way to gaining more power in their organizations, but honestly, I don't know how much it really helped the average nonprofit worker just trying to get by. People are scared to lose their jobs. The cost of everything is going up and they don't have the courage to unionize, and it's understandable. The premise of capitalism is make money or else be homeless and die. You have the freedom to be homeless, right? In other countries, they don't have that. If you're homeless in Belgium, we're going to give you a place to live. Nonprofits with all their veneer of altruism and kindness are no exception. Planned Parenthood does union busting. There's a lot of examples of that. You can just look that up. And since the wave of the pandemic started, we have seen a wave of unionization in nonprofits, and that does make me a bit more hopeful. But I also don't want to keep fighting an industry that grinds us down every day and tries to tell us to be grateful for the pennies. We get to be grateful to do what we love. Meanwhile, we have the same stagnant wages, the same bad policies, and the same checked out leadership. This was covered extensively in Uncharitable by Dan Pallotta. So let me begin in the middle. Let me tell you a story. After being an intern at Planned Parenthood in New York City, early in my fundraising career, I was working in a nonprofit that was stuffy and odd. It was in a weird little office away from their main location. The boss was bombastic and liked to think she was friends with her employees. She decided she didn't really know me and wanted me to open up more. I chose not to do that. So then she told me if I came late 3 times in a row, she would fire me. So one day I lost my job for coming in 3 minutes late to work. And that was it. She looked for a reason to fire me, found one, and I was out. I was actually so relieved to be out of that job. It paid like crap and the benefits were non-existent since she fired me before my first 3 months were up. Frankly, my job was data entry in a fundraising office. I didn't have to go meet and greet. I didn't have to put on a happy face. I could just go there and do my job and go home, and that was all I really wanted. She wanted a performance of intimacy from me that I didn't want to give her. Has it ever happened to you? People wanted you to open up and act like they were owed some part of you? After this job, I decided right there that I was not going to put on an act for anyone, whether or not I wanted to keep a job. I was just going to be who I was. Has this cost me work and opportunities? Sure. But the pain was better than pretending. The pain was better than what would have come next. What would have come next? Well, probably invitations to continue to open up to someone who hadn't earned it, who didn't deserve it, and who wasn't safe to open up to. Clearly, if she felt like she was owed it, she would not take no for an answer and press until I capitulated or got out. You know, maybe she would have invited me out for drinks or dinner or lunch, and I would have had to become closer and closer to her, at least her definition of that. You don't owe anyone your heart-to-hearts, your true feelings, or even more than a polite mask you wear to get through the day. I take heart from the protests for Palestine and walkouts I'm seeing on campuses, the people who are striking in hospital systems around the country, and in Starbucks. We don't talk about this enough. Their complaints add up and become newsworthy. Sarah Ahmed said, "A shut door can be a complaint and a survival strategy." Lately, I've been reading Sarah Ahmed's Complaint. It's a beautiful work reminiscent of the first time I read Gertrude Stein and Bayo Akomolafe, and yet so empowering and feminist at the same time. She writes, "Withdrawal becomes a political action given the demand for access and upon whom that demand falls, how some have to make themselves available for others." Basically, you won't succeed unless you open when we tell you to. No, I stay closed. I want to be in a sector that pays people more and better and consistently and upholds unions. I complained and I withdrew. They were worse for having lost me. That's been true of every nonprofit I ever worked at. The professional managerial class has been virtue hoarding for a while, and what if we just withdrew from that? So I moved to government contracting. How did that work? Well, I started out in government contracting as an income stream in 2012. So I started slow, just 1 or 2 contracts here and there because I wasn't really focused on it. I didn't know that there was actually a lot of support for me in it. I just didn't access that. I had fundraising books to write, fundraising courses to teach, online nonprofit conferences to run, and I did that, and I did it well right up until 2020. In 2020, it all ground to a halt. Everything I was trying to do stopped working, and I couldn't make myself want to start working on getting out there again. George Floyd was dead. Breonna Taylor died. We protested in the streets. We continued to fight undeclared wars. And nonprofits made token statements but did not acknowledge the structures at play. This ahistorical perspective, the lack of true accountability, the blatant hypocrisy of the sector, the neoliberalism was too much for me to ignore anymore. I had started to get educated on systems of oppression, socialism, and my mind could not go back. Thanks to my brother Aaron, who really taught me a lot. Ahmed writes about haunting, when home becomes unfamiliar. When your bearing on the world loses direction, I felt haunted. She said, closing the door can be a survival strategy. One person Ahmed interviewed said, "I pulled the curtain, closed the door, and I never opened my door for a year. I only kept it open a crack and only students could come in. I did not let in anyone who I did not invite there." So at first I left the door halfway open. I took the odd nonprofit client here and there in 2020 and 2021. I did my coaching and podcast and worked on figuring out who I wanted to be if not a nonprofit employee advocate and fundraising consultant. If you're not getting paid enough to work with nonprofits, if they're nickeling and diming you as a consultant, you're not alone. I felt like I could get some contracts here and there, but sustaining work was not what they were willing to pay for. And I was just tired of the grind, honestly, truly tired of people demanding discounts and generally being unwilling to pay a fair amount for my expertise. 2022, staying still. So in 2022, I didn't go anywhere. I didn't get on a plane, and that felt good. I felt like I was starting to feel my way toward a place of letting go of the sector that had fed me for sure, but not enough. Not enough to save and live less precariously. And then in 2023, I shut my door. My brother died suddenly in August, and I was grieving. I pulled the curtain, closed the door, and went to the woods. There I was alone with my tears, and I let the trees hear my pain. After putting out more than 1,000 blog posts, 3 books, 10 courses, and a weekly newsletter for over a decade, I barely wrote online at all. I just sat with my grief. And I started to realize a lot of things I had been involved in were not for me. An activist group, a friendship or two, assumptions I had made about my family. It felt like the more I was silent, the more I listened to myself, the more the blinders came off. I could start to really feel what was for me and what was not. Every time I thought about going back to the sector just to do a little work here and there, a small voice inside me said no. And then it got louder and louder. As Sarah Ahmed said, violence can be shut out with a door and violence could be shut in behind the door. I choose to stand on the outside of the sector and look in and say no to the violence that is enacted inside when people are not paid enough to survive. I withdraw my labor and attention from a system that gaslights us and destroys us. It is ridiculously freeing to strengthen the muscle of letting go and saying no. Have you worked on this? If the nonprofit sector is the only one you've ever known, this process can be scary, but you don't have to go it alone. Collect tales, leave trails. Listen to the stories of other folks who have left. Maybe there's a trail out there for you too. Reframing my expertise. So that's what I suggest that you do. In 2023, I invested in a platform that found RFPs all over the country and started applying to all these RFPs. I won exactly 0 of these RFPs, but I did not give up. By 2024, I was working with nonprofits only through government contracts. I was teaching fundraising, but through government work, and that felt more sustaining to me. I redid my website to reflect this new mode of working. I went to one nonprofit conference and I just felt like it wasn't worth it being there. When I tried to connect with people, I felt the disconnect. It wasn't my world anymore. There were a few bumps in the road, but I started to get mentorships, get my WBE certifications, write proposals for local RFPs, show up more at local government contracting events, and now I have a partner that applies to RFPs with me, and we worked hard in 2024, and that paid off in 2025 with new work. So at the year mark of my brother's death, I was still broken, still grieving, but I started to have a place to stand. Now the nonprofit sector was a phase, and this is the next phase. Now it's almost the anniversary of his death, and I feel his spirit with me. It feels like he's proud of me. I wish he could be here to see it unfold. The well-paid work is coming in faster and faster. Before, this would have freaked me out to have so much work, but now I'm learning about automation and project management, and it feels right. I have support with my team, and I feel so grateful that we are going so far together. Sure, it took a while to start getting contracts, but now that we have them, we're focused, motivated, organized, and happier together doing this work than we would be doing it apart. I'm so grateful. Complaints participate in the weakening of structures. I complained over and over about the sector, and I do believe it participated in weakening of the structures we take for granted. You can complain too. Your complaints matter. As Ahmed says, the more we complain, the more they have to justify. Arguments can stop working, and justifications can become tired. I want you to feel this and understand this too. The justification that we just can't pay more has become tired. That doesn't work on us. Pay us more so we can save. Their argument that it's better to work in the nonprofit sector instead of selling out to go to another sector has stopped working on me. It's a thought-terminating cliche, and it's just not true. You can leave, you can shut the door, and you can go on to do something more fun for you, or at least more lucrative. I'm not here to tell you what that is, but there are lots of books out there that will help you figure that out. If you like this, then you're definitely going to like my book, Healing from the Nonprofit Sector, available soon.